Hi, this is Sean Carney, the president and CEO of 40 Days for Life. And a while back, when Amy Coney Barrett was named to the Supreme Court, we made a prediction that feminists would end up hating her and really hated her deep down, but they couldn't say anything. And she had 7 kids, and she appeared to be kind of the judicial version of Mother Teresa, and they just didn't know what to do with her. So, Kavanaugh got put through the ringer and was given this beat down, and Amy Coney Barrett, they really couldn't do that. But we know they were seething inside because she was a woman who loved children, who was pro-life, who seemed to be a halfway decent Catholic, which is the ultimate mortal sin for the feminists. And she also seemed to be happy in life, which is, really bad too. And so that's all coming out now with the leak heard around the world with Roe v. Wade. And now we're continuing in limbo, waiting for them to officially hand down the overturning of Roe v. Wade. We believe it will ultimately be overturned. But they're finally coming after Amy Coney Barrett. And the gloves are completely off. And they did so in the New York Times. And I want to read parts of this op-ed that shows what we know on the sidewalks, that this really is spiritual warfare. It's not that they just hate us because of the way they think that we vote, or they hate us because, we're pro-life. Ultimately, this is a hatred of Christianity and ultimately of Christ. And we see that at the root of the abortion issue. They loathe religion, absolutely to their core. And they turned on supposedly one of their own when this feminist, self-proclaimed feminist, wrote this New York Times article on Amy Coney Barrett. And the title of that article from Maureen Dowd is "Too Much Church in the State." Oh, we've never heard this before. This is pretty predictable, but we gotta go through it. So I'm gonna put some of these comments on the screen. The article starts off that this is obviously targeting Amy Coney Barrett, who is Catholic. The author of this article, Maureen Dowd, is also Catholic. She's the mother of 7, and she's imposing her religious views on the Supreme Court. So, quote, "During her Supreme Court confirmation hearings, Amy Coney Barrett tried to assure Democrats who were leery of her role as a handmaid in a Christian group called the People of Praise. The group has a male-dominated hierarchy in a rigid view of sexuality, reflecting conservative gender norms and rejecting openly gay men and women." Dun, dun, dun. So, that's at the start of the article. Conservative gender views, for those of you who are wondering what that is, I know I was wondering what that is. That means if you are born a girl, you're a girl. And if you're born a boy, you're a boy. And you actually don't have the luxury to decide that. It is given to you, and you don't get your own pronouns, just like you don't get your own adjectives or prepositions, or you can't go around calling yourself great and expect everybody else to call you great. They may not think you're great. And if you're a boy and you tell everybody you're a girl, they probably won't think that you're a girl because you're in fact a boy. So that's conservative gender norms and rejecting openly gay men and women. Any Christian, especially Catholic teaching that teaches against homosexual behavior, obviously you're banned and you're canceled. Okay, here's where it gets more ridiculous. Like a royal queen, she, Amy Coney Barrett, will impose her will on the world. It will be the law of Amy and Sam and Clarence and Neil and Brett. Whew! She was a nice mother of 7. Now she's imposing her will on the world. We'll go on. It's outrageous that 5 or 6 people in lifelong unaccountable jobs are about to impose their personal views on the rest of the country. I know that the unborn the last 50 years agree with that statement. So do the slaves. They for sure agree with that statement. Otherwise, it's really not very grounded. Then she goes on to make a larger point. Still, this Catholic, Maureen now talking about herself, this Catholic feels an intense disquiet that Catholic doctrine may be shaping or misshaping the freedom and the future of millions of women and men. There is a corona of religious fervor around the court, a churchly ethos that threatens to turn our whole country upside down. What? There is a corona of religious fervor around the court, a churchly ethos that threatens to turn our whole country upside down. So when you hear a lot of this garbage, remember, do we have a right to life or not? Does life begin at conception, as science and medical textbooks tell us that it does? Can we have an abortion? Can we have an abortion at 40 weeks? Can we have infanticide? Like, what are we talking about? I've never heard the term churchly ethos. This is what they have to talk about. This is why they're attacking Amy Coney Barrett. They're not attacking why they overturned Roe, why it was bad law, as Gingrich said, why it was on a collision course with itself, as Sandra Day O'Connor said, because science has caught up with reality. None of that. Just churchly ethos that threatens to turn our whole country upside down. The other ridiculous comment in here is misshaping the freedom of future millions of future men and women. I think they're shaping the future by giving future men and women in our country the inalienable right to life and guaranteeing that right to life, as they're supposed to do as interpreters of the Constitution. Okay, the last part of this. The explosive nature of Alito's draft opinion on Roe has brought to the fore how radical the majority on the court is, willing to make women fit with their zealous world view. She keeps saying women, so I think she's adopted some of this conservative gender ideology she was criticizing Barrett about. But to fit with their zealous worldview, it's not a zealous worldview to recognize the humanity of another human being. The court dehumanized people twice, once with Dred Scott and slavery, and the other with Roe v. Wade. And thank God they are correcting their errors. It's not ideology, it's basic common sense that begins the end of this dark era in American history. And so Maureen doesn't like it, but deeply rooted in all of this is not the promotion of women or the freedom of women, because Amy Coney Barrett is one of the most successful women in our country right now. But they can't stand her because she's Catholic, and because she's a mom, and because she doesn't agree with their abortion sacrament ideology. And it's another sign that we're winning. It's also another sign that they don't know how to talk about this, which is why you get all these goofy made-up phrases where no one knows what this woman is talking about. And so equip yourself, talk about it, and let's change hearts and minds.